Hi, my name is Alicia Maddox, and I'm the board president of Quechan Media Inc. And as you all know, our organization has always been involved with our election. One of the first grassroots efforts that we did was bring candidates together to speak about their platforms, and we want to make sure we're continuing to do that today. So we've gathered a few willing participants to answer some pre-developed questions of things that we're hearing and seeing a lot of that are of concern to our tribal membership. So what we're going to do today is everyone has selected a question. We're going to have them answer that question. They're going to read it out loud, answer the question, and then ask some of their opponents the same question. After that, we'll have a special guest, and then I have some questions. And then just to encourage discussion, they'll ask each other one question to wrap everything up. So let's get started.
Thank you for having this forum. Thank you guys for all coming. My name is Willie White, and I'm a candidate for the upcoming council election. My name on the ballot is Mark William White II. I was named after my father. On my mom's side is where my Quechan lineage comes from. My grandmother is Isla Dunsweiler, and she goes back to Clara Escalante and a lot of my other great-grandparents that are, long gone now. I guess the first question was about council. I'm currently a seated councilman. I would say one of the greatest achievements for this term has been going into 2016 when we did get elected. 2017 when we got elected and finally seated. We found out that there was less than $1 million in the tribe's reserve funds, and our tribe operates on close to $5 million a month. And so for that to be the case, it's very, very detrimental to our financial status. Also that year, we had been issued with a going concern by our lenders with close to $100 million worth of debt. That's a very steep issue, a problem to be facing as a tribal nation with 4,000 members and so much in the form of resources that we need to protect. So for us to be in that situation coming into it, it was a little shaky. We got right to business. We all pulled together a council that I've got the benefit of the privilege of serving with. And we listened to each other's ideas, and we came up with a path forward that really straightened things out for the tribe. I'm happy to report now that the tribe has reserves, which we haven't had in a long time, as far as operating capital in case of government shutdowns and things like that. We have refinanced and restructured our bonds and our lending terms. We haven't taken on any new debt. We've increased revenues and decreased spending, and done all the things, business practical matters that needed to be done for a long time. So I'd say that's probably the greatest thing that we did, is restore solvency and sustainability to our tribal economy. That was a big deal.
Okay, thank you, William.
Hi, I'm Eva Castro, and this is my first time running for tribal council. My three top areas of focus would be health and wellness, substance abuse, and youth.
Okay, thank
Hello,
you.
my name is Jonathan Quechan. This is my first time running for tribal council. Two areas I would like to focus on is our Quechan Tribal Business Entrepreneurs and tribally funded housing.
Thank you. Cody?
Hi, my name is Cody Ira Hart. My parents are Ira Sean Hart and Brenda Lee Hirsch. My grandparents are Judith Prieta and Norman Osborne, who I was raised by here on the Fort Union Indian Reservation. My top priorities, this is my first time running for tribal council. I'd run previously before, but had withdrawn for personal reasons. My priorities are the youth. Currently in my position, that's my main focus and always been a priority of us and the government. IHS funding is number 2. We're going to continue advocating at Congress level for better health care and services. And 3 would probably be housing. We need to increase housing, especially elders and group home for our foster children.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shanna Lapham. I would like to thank you for hosting this event. I'm the daughter of Adeline and Victoria Quaney, the granddaughter of the late Albert and Edna Golding. I would just like to say that this is my first time running for council, and my main priority right now is the youth and finding them, somewhere that they can belong. It's something that's needed, and it's very important to me.
My name is Melissa Mills, and I'm running for Tribal Council. This is my first time running. My 3 topics, our main concerns would be finances, youth, medical, and those are the main 3.
Yes, my name is Bernard Smith, and I'm an enrolled member of the Quechan Tribe. I lived here most all of my life. And in 1973, I was, the people put my name in, I didn't do it.
So you were a writing candidate?
And yes, they put it in for me,
Okay.
and they voted for me, and I was elected as a council member. And at that time, like I said, we were all working together with the exception of a few projects that I didn't think was good for the tribe. I voted against it. So a lot of the council people saw me as a troublemaker.
Okay. So what did you do well that, you're
Well,
proud
for
of?
one thing, they wanted to borrow $3 million, and we had no way of paying it back.
Okay.
And I said, I don't think we're ready for that. So I voted against it. But they wanted 100% vote, and I said no. So they more or less kind of tried to twist my arm, but the people were always there for me to say, no, we believe in. So they said, okay. Well, they did apply for it, they never got it anyway.
Okay, I'll go with economic development since that's kind of my thing. Many people compare our tribe to other tribes, especially regarding per capita. What is one thing other successful tribes do that council could enact for our membership that would create more of a positive impact than our per capita check? Well, tribes that are very successful tend to be able to first create a separation of their tribal politics and their business. They do this different ways from Section 17 corporations, which is different than the Section 16 that the tribal government operates under. They appoint separate economic development boards and business committees and groups, and they reinvest in their own people and their management directors and make sure that they're up to speed on training and things like that. Our tribe hasn't really taken that approach. Initially in building our economy, we focused solely on gaming, and to their credit, to our credit, we've done a pretty good job of that. We definitely dominate the local market, but it's time for the tribe to reinvest into itself and to diversify our economy. And so I think one of the first steps that I would like to see us take is to reprioritize the list of duties for the economic director that we currently have. Combined with the administrator, there's a lot of things that he should be doing that currently are handled by EDA. We need to get economic development in a serious capacity, focusing on economic development. There's tremendous opportunity here in Yuma, with our resource, our land, our water, our farming, everything. So I hope we'll get back to that. But a little bit more locally and individually, I think one of the biggest things we could do here right now would be to increase the minimum wage to $15. We already know that's going to happen, and we're expected to be there by 2021, I believe. So if the tribe, was in a position financially to budget and to continue to keep being conservative in our spending, we could definitely afford a $15 minimum wage, which would, of course, increase other people's wages as well, and create more economic development in the individual households, which I think is important. It's concerned with housing that we may be pricing ourselves out of being able to qualify for our own housing units, but that's a problem we can address later. That's kind of a good problem to have. So there's something that I think a lot of people forget about when you're here on the reservation, and that's the people that are off the list. There's a lot of people that leave, go to school that the tribe pays for, that go out and conduct themselves very professionally and successfully in their own capacities off the reservation. My first thing I would do is send an invitation out to those individuals to try and bring them back home, or kind of create some ideas as far as what they're seeing out there in their world that they could see being done here that's helping. We don't need to reinvent any wheels. There's a lot of tribes out there that are doing things successfully in their own capacities. They're very friendly to us. When we come and talk to them about, hey, how does this work? They're more than willing to share ideas and solutions. It's just a matter of us, taking advantage.
To that, it's important to have over-income housing for families that you speak of, like that, people that don't live here, with degrees and better paying jobs. the current housing that we have is under HUD, so it is for low-income families. A lot of people that live out of town that I've spoken to feel they don't have a reason to come back, and I feel part of that is because we don't have over-income housing for them. One of the issues we do have is using the 184 loan. Right now, I believe that's in progress, right?
What's
the 184 loan is a Native American-owned bank that will finance Native American persons. You do have to qualify based off of your credit. If you don't qualify, then depending on which Native American bank you go with, they'll help you. They will counsel you on what you need to do to fix your credit, so that way you can eventually qualify for a loan. If you go down to the housing office, we do have a homeowner counselor that has information on that. You can also go online and look up 184 loan, and it'll show you lending companies, and they'll be able to help you too.
To clarify that it isn't, the per capita check is not a factor or determinant of whether the tribe is successful or not, because you have to consider that our tribe has 4,000 members, and for us to have a big per cap check, it costs actually around $1 million to pay every member of the tribe $250. So, if you figure that the last distribution was around $1,200, $1,250, that's around $5 million in cost to the tribe. And so, I'm not in favor of taking per capita away from people or a revenue share away from the people, because that we are, shareholders in the success of this, and that's what we vote for, is people who are going to, deliver that check, basically. But we also need to hold our leaders to a higher standard of not just delivering a check, and to deliver jobs, and to deliver healthcare, to deliver, education and training and opportunity for our members, so that, more or less you get to the point where you have an income and you're paying your taxes and you're living your life, and hey, that per capita check is really nice because it pays for Christmas, or it helps out on some bills, and that's what becomes, your quality of life is better.
My question would be, how do you plan on engaging our off-reservation population? The tribe needs to utilize social media, emails. I know it sounds old school, but emails. Some people do look at the emails. I do every day at my work. I have to check my emails. That's where I get all my updates, getting to work and whatnot. So I think we need to use the internet more to reach out to people that aren't on the reservation. Still use paper, because some people off the reservation go and check their mail, still would like to see it in paper. Our newsletter would definitely be something that is necessary to have. Everybody enjoyed reading that newspaper that we had, or the newsletter. It's very informative. Even if we don't have one just for the tribe, departments should be making newsletters themselves. That would be good. Informative. I mean, you as a tribal member, you still want to know what's going on here. Obviously, if you're not here, you don't know what's going on in the council meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's information we need to put in the newsletter. Where I work and just talking to friends and family, one of the complaints they have is they're not informed on what's going on. And yes, the meetings are available. Sometimes there's meetings that are scheduled during working hours. I work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So unless I take time off to go to those meetings, I miss out on some of the meetings.
As far as the newsletter, I definitely think that's an important thing to bring back. The elders, or the ones that don't have social media or an Obama phone, or that access to that kind of internet, aren't seeing what's on Facebook, aren't seeing what's on Instagram, or whatever social media outlet you utilize and share, and they're misinformed. They blame themselves for not attending the meetings, which we know is the first Tuesday of every month. The one like Shannon brought up earlier, we've been attending meetings for years. We bring the issues forward, and sometimes it's the repetitive issues. But it definitely needs to be posted. Other tribes are posting the resolutions, what were passed, the resolution numbers.
Are they public though? So if someone Googled it, they could see the internal matters as well?
I've seen some tribes post on their websites. I know the laws and ordinances in Arizona tribes are all open open book now for a majority of them. And then some of the newsletters and media outlets are posting the resolution numbers and what it was.
Okay.
I think it goes into dollar amounts or any of that because that's what we see as a member or walking up to the community bulletin board. But yeah, I think it definitely needs to be there and available to the membership.
I just think every council member should, write a report at least every quarter, at least every half a year. Just update their people. I mean, in hindsight, I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
But things do get pretty stressful there, and kind of wondering, am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to say that? And if it was just an expectation amongst the entire council that hey, we're all going to submit a report to each other as well as to the community, that could be a very conductive exercise just to kind of keep things moving along and keep us on task or whatever.
One great debate in Indian country right now is enrollment. What is your stance on blood quantum? And this is a sensitive topic, it's one that hits me close to home because recently I just had issues with my blood quantum where it was brought up before council and enrollment's decision or their advice was to decrease me. And it actually went through. So this is something I'm fighting right now, and it's very, it's a big deal to me, and I think it's a big deal to Indian country right now. There's so many ways that you can look at it, and also with other tribes, the way that they're dealing with it. A lot of people went to descendancy. I don't think we would have to go that far yet. I would think you would break it down into subsections or something like that, where you would have your full bloods, your half bloods, or all the way down to descendants, and you would just have to create a plan to put it in force.
On the issue of enrollment, currently in my position, I represent the tribe in state courts regarding the Indian Child Welfare Act. ICLA, we're under attack. So the biggest issue on membership is one, the tribe determines your membership, and that's the biggest issue. That's the biggest regulation. And California tribes determine enroll and member. There's two differences. I believe Arizona right now is just following enroll and you're not eligible. So those are the two criteria. But if the tribe were to increase membership by determining you as a member instead of a descendant, that would hold a lot more power. Maybe you don't have the same rights to vote, or maybe you don't have the same rights to per capita, but I definitely think the tribe needs to reconsider their membership and how it's determined. We might be 4,000 strong, but we're the second largest in California, but we could definitely trump over that and become the largest. And instead of offering what it is the same as in per cap or member benefits, I definitely think the tribe needs to reconsider how our children are there, how they meet criteria, and really regulate the enrollment department. The enrollment department kind of just determines that there are committees there, and hopefully we get enough people on the committee to determine those things and make those recommendations. But I think the whole issue alone needs to be addressed as a whole.
You're Quechan, you're Quechan. If your mom is Quechan and she's half and she meets the requirements, and your dad is Quechan who's full-blooded, or not full-blood, but half and he meets requirements, how is it that if the mom or the dad is registered or enrolled in a different tribe, but they still have Quechan blood, that Quechan blood doesn't recognize it?
Yeah, I think you're talking about a personal, like a specific family or a specific incident, and it's all different. But yeah, currently the way that the enrollment department, uses its criteria, its evaluation, it relies on the other tribe to provide documentation on the CDD, they call it the Certificate of Blood Degree, for the individual. And because we conveniently rely on the other tribe, if that tribe doesn't recognize Quechan blood, then our Quechan blood gets eliminated. So at the very least, we do need to recognize Quechan blood. And I just kind of want to just back up this subject just a little bit and look at historically what the tribe was. So historically, you were on the original rolls, you were a Quechan member, and you were going about your life, and there wasn't really any of this blood quantum discussion or anything. It was, everyone knew who everyone was, all the families and everything. Well, then money that came from the state, I believe, back in the 70s, that was given to the tribal membership as part of some kind of a settlement. And at that time, there were people who were living on the reservation who were not enrolled members of the tribe. So what they did was they became resident members of the tribe. Those resident members didn't have voting rights, didn't have membership rights, but they were entitled to some of this money because they were living on the res. And the leadership at the time, as far as I understand, was in favor of that because they recognized kind of what Cody's saying, which is strength in numbers as far as the membership population. The problem with that is we basically resorted to an open enrollment period for the tribe where you didn't have to have any certificate of what degree to be Quechan to be enrolled, and that's where all these questions come up. They did put an end to it at some point in I think '78 and changed the Constitution and put in a criteria that says you can have. That's when they adopted blood degree and said you got to be 1/4. Now everyone thinks. A lot of people think, oh, that means everyone's 1/4 Quechan. Not the case. It says 1/4 Indian blood. So that means that if you're enrolled with some other tribe, that blood quantum that you carry from the other tribe, the parents, passes on to the children and becomes part of the Quechan membership.
Okay.
So that's an important thing to understand about what we're talking about here.
But you also talk about conveniently, like that's something we need to change because
Oh, yeah.
if we can change it, we need to change it. Because how could you say you're not Quechan, but you have Quechan blood and it's there just because another tribe doesn't recognize it? If you're Quechan, you're Quechan. And if that's something we can change, we need to change it.
I'm with you.
My question states, our tribal council members present to Congress and senators in some of the tribe's most important issues. How comfortable you are with our nation's constitution and bylaws? Currently, I'm barred by the tribal court. I do exercise tribal law in our court. I've been doing that since 2015. I'm the newest barred member there. So I've been practicing there, and obviously that's under the tribal law. We also follow the Constitution. That's how our government's been formed. I think working with Congress, and I think it's mainly Congress. I think the senator is a little higher approach when we're not getting what we need, or it has to be a higher level. I think it's very important. I think as a tribe, we need to govern public relations. I think an individual representative needs to be available at all times and make a daily presence based on our membership. We're a huge tribe. I think we need to be available at the Congress level or at least the county level at all meetings. I'm talking Yuma County Waters Association meetings. We need to be at the IID meetings. So a little lower than the Congress and Senator discussion right now, but I think it's important that our tribe play a role in all those decision making. The city of Yuma, to let them know that we're here. And we hold the land mass here. We do have water rights. We're here to protect that. And then also our matters on employment. I brought it up yesterday in another forum, is that we are the largest employer in Yuma County. What do we get from the city of Yuma, or what are we getting from the county to support those efforts? Because from what I know, we don't get anything. And they incentivize other employers in Yuma County to maintain those employment numbers for their gain, for their housing and tax dollars that they receive. So it's very important that we address those issues at the government-to-government relationship. And we're not always going to see eye to eye, but it's important that we're there attending those meetings, whether it's an individual, like I stated, for public relations, or it's the entire council, or the council actually delegates an individual to do that every single time. When I applied for multiple courts. Some are a lot stringent than the tribal court here, but it's what the ordinance states, or the law states, is that you have to have basic knowledge of the laws of the Quechan Indian tribe. You have to take an oath, and the oath is carried anywhere you go, or whatever you do, even when you're not practicing. So there's very little involvement on the government's, I guess, or the tribe side to promote that. I think it's important. I believe, representing the department now, social services and tribal court, it's important that parents understand their rights. If you were in the city of Yuma or the county or an Imperial and arrested or facing a civil issue, The civil issue, you have to provide your own representation. If you were arrested or fighting at a criminal level, you have the right to an attorney. Under federal law or Indian law, you don't have that same right. Representation is not provided by the tribal government. So I think having a civil department in that court would definitely make things a lot easier for tribal members, or at least have like forums and discussions on what your rights are, or how to file petitions for maybe child support. I think those are all beneficial for our membership as well. I can speak of it today, and people know that I practice there, and other advocates that practice there. But I think it's more the tribal court's responsibility to promote that, and that it's available, and there's certain requirements to recruit those individuals. I think it's important that the tribe kind of push that at a different level. We have to remember that there needs to be a separation of government. So separation of government is the tribe not overseeing what the court's doing. Right now, the vice president oversees, or the council as a whole, oversees the operations of the police department and the tribal court. Something that that must happen, and it needs to happen because there's always going to be that approach on the influence of council, or whatever it is. I personally haven't seen it or experienced it in my role, but other members have expressed that, and I don't know if it's personal or what it might be. I would advocate on it, but again, we have to remember that we're individuals and we don't have the authority to act on our own. Obviously, what we haven't seen on council is council members to do their own petitions while on as a city member, or making motions independently to drive some of these ideas. So that would be something that is outside the box for our membership, but it's definitely as a leader, you have the responsibility as a membership to bring these things forward. And if it's an initiative from a council member versus an individual member, maybe that holds a lot more power or more weight to our people.
Is what have you done to prepare yourself for a role in our government? Okay, to answer this question, I believe that your whole life determines, you're getting ready for something big. And I think that mine started when I was a youth. I started getting involved in like government type, programs. When I was a youth, I was involved in the Commitment to Excellence, where we did have a president, vice president, we also had stewards, and I believe that got me ready. And I was also involved in church functions. Also sitting as a president of the Nazarene Youth International for years, and representing our district. No, I didn't go that far, but I wish I would have. But I believe that my whole life has prepared me for this. I mean, being a lifelong member, living on the reservation all my life, and my passion for politics, not only locally, but also, nationwide. And I believe, I got my first constitution, tribal constitution from my uncle. And I believe I still have it. It's kind of tattered and the pages are falling off. And then ever since then, everybody would give me a new one. And so now I have like 6 of them, including the one I just got when I filled out my packet. And, I believe, just
Lifelong preparation.
Yeah, it was just what I feel that I was, meant to do. But whether it be, my local government, or whether it be county-wise, state-wise, yeah.
Okay.
Just being born Native American, we're born into politics, being that we're in the United States and we're separate from the United States.
It's a political status. Being Native American is a political status. It's not a racial status.
So I think
that's
just growing up in our community, we're involved in politics all the time. We see it all the time on the news. We're fighting for our rights, for our people all the time. So I think just being Native American is very political.
Having a new council, that's what we need to focus on, is stop depending on the government and become self-sustaining. That's something that our youth is going to have to know about. We need to inform them about that.
okay.
It goes back further than anybody else here. I started back in 1973 as a councilman, and in the 80s I was the vice president. And I've been involved in the tribal government directly and indirectly from that point on to today. Some days we were really struggling, so we worked together. We listened to the advice of professionals, even our own people, what is best for our tribe, and we strived for that. And we did achieve a lot. You can see a lot of the buildings here, the community center, there's everywhere, because people worked together for that one purpose. I saw where people were coming in with their own agendas, instead of looking at what the need of the tribe is as a whole. If you get 3 or 4 in the council doing that, you're not going to have any agreement on anything. People that are running today, including myself, you need to look at what is the needs of the tribe as a whole, and how are we as a group going to work on resolving it.
Many of our tribal members have asked for an update to our constitution and bylaws. What is the first thing you'd update? The first thing that I would update is the recall, because there's too many conflicting issues about that. Many people are interpreting their way. It states one way, but they want to make it the way they interpret it, which is conflicting. So that needs to be changed to where everybody's reading it and interpreting it the same way.
The same way.
On that issue, so a lot of tribes right now have changed their constitutions to remove the Secretary of the Interior for approval. Our tribe has the authority to govern ourselves and create an ordinance or a law that we want to pass without having the BIA to approve it. So definitely need to change the Constitution to read that we will send it to the Secretary of the Interior for their review, or we're no longer seeking the Bureau's approval of anything.
You know, the tribal constitution bylaws has always come up, mainly because that was adopted back in the 30s. And it's so old that, you know, there's a lot of things that's new today that is not contained in that. But we've talked about that off and on for a long, long time. 10 years ago, just about, the legislative committee, which I was a member of, we came up with a brand new constitution that was drafted up. We took it to the BI to look at it. There's nothing wrong with it. But for some reason, the committee didn't want to push it forward.
The legislative committee?
It's still laying, the legislative committee. Well, some of their comments were, it's too complex, Quechans won't understand that. I said, no, they will. They will understand. But it never went anywhere. It's still laying there. And in that constitution, it goes back to the last enrollment about the blood quantum. It doesn't have it in there. We did away with it. That blood quantum is a white man's concept. It was never Quechans or Indians. They're the ones that did that, knowing full well that somewhere in the future we're going to be gone. No more blood, Quechan bloods, Indian blood. We're going to be wiped out. So that's how they did it. We're going all the way down. So I said, why do we allow the white people, BIA, to determine that for us? It's up to us to determine who is to be an enrolled Quechan. And we have done that. And we can still do it. As a matter of fact, if I am elected, I'm going to bring it back up again.
Okay.
We just bring it to the council to ask for an amendment or a revision with 100 signatures. And the council has to notify the Bureau to get a secretarial election in place to make the amendments or the revisions. And the people will be allowed to look at all of the proposed changes versus the old one, and it'll be up to the tribal membership to vote on it, to adopt it or not.
Okay.
I have a question. Why hasn't that been done?
I think it's a fair question. I'm pretty sure every council, for the last 10 years has, very seriously said, okay, we need to update this because we keep repeating the same mistakes that are, basically tied to time. It was from the 70s, from the 30s, as he's saying. Honestly, the reason why it hasn't happened is because our tribe has a problem with creating consensus amongst one another. We have a problem trusting each other and working together to agree on something that we can pass. Our term limits are for 2 years. The Constitution that we were given is a template, and we have not evolved from that template since then. And it's not our fault, honestly. It's not our fault that these foreign, laws and rules and governance are not, flowing well with our, the way we govern our people and the way our tribe has existed way before it was ever there. So we're still challenging ourselves, trying to figure out what this means and what that means, and like she's saying, the gray areas and and the black and white, and we just need to create a consensus. So just to finish what my statement is that it can be done, it should be done, and it doesn't have to come from the council either. People, as he said, people can present this, and the council has to act on it. But the challenge is getting it done in a 2-year term. This is more or less a 2-year process in itself. So, until we have a consistent government where, we have at least, more or less consistent people running and being elected, and then the people support them, I don't see it happening.
Mr. Smith had mentioned, they don't want to put it out because people aren't going to understand. The only way we're going to understand is if you teach us. We're not going to know if everything is being held back or being kept a secret. How are we going to move forward if we don't know or if we don't understand? And that's where we need to start teaching. Some of us want to learn, maybe some don't. That's their choice. Everything comes down to choices. But if you are conscious of it, you're aware, and you know that you, just one individual, can make a difference. And I strongly believe us Quechan people need to wake up and rise up together. It has to change. Everyone's tired of it.
Council on the secretarial election. Obviously, I would support a secretarial election, but what we have to understand is the history there. For those that attend meetings and play an active role in this government, is that it's never been pushed to that level. And if we want to speak about council, really wanting to push that initiative, then it should come from a motion from the council member, and it's in there. But what we have to remember is when we open the doors to a secretarial election, any member has a right to propose and have their issues voted on as well. So if they want to bring up the membership issues, then it's definitely going to happen. And we got to remember that that's going to be presented because the membership has a right to add anything at that time to that constitution. So what will happen is when you initiate the secretarial election, any member can present any initiative or anything that they wanted added to the Constitution at that time. So like you're stating, in a normal process for those who vote and exercise that right, people bring these initiatives for anything that wants to be passed.
You should just give it out, or do you want to use it elsewhere? And I think we'll be asking ourselves that question for a very long time in the future if we don't do anything different. By that I mean we have our casinos and the parking lot that generates a lot of funds we depend on it. And I think for some reason, people that run for council, they feel like we can continue utilizing that and do something better. You're not going to, because it's a proven fact that you do have funds coming in. It's going to be coming in. You do it right. But your expenditures is up here. So when you do that, your income is not going to take care of it. You're always going to be doing it. Per capita can stay the way it is, but you need to make changes on, do you want to spend it 100% to the people, or do you want to save it for economic development? And is to not accept the status quo as it is, but to say, okay, we have our income coming in, okay, fine. Not much we can do about it. We can do better. I have a plan for that too. But we need to get more money, fresh money coming in, so that we can do better and still may take care of our obligations, bring it up. And if you have new income coming in, then you're going to do a lot better. But that's not happening. I haven't heard anybody say we're going to do this, to do this, to do that. It's just a vague progress. That's about it. I have ideas that will generate funds quicker for the tribe. Other tribes are doing it, nothing new. The Quechan tribe for years, for some reason, has been sleeping. We play catch up. We beat ourselves up. We don't go anywhere. We need to get away from it. We need to reach out and get more investments, new businesses.
For me to start a business here on the reservation, there were no spaces for me to even set up. There was one space available, and handful of tribal members put in for it. And luckily, I was granted access to it, but it was only because before it was already a barbershop, so there was nothing really I had to do to make it a barbershop again. But other than that, I think we need to develop things for people. Like even our vendor square, there's nothing there. Like it's something as simple as a wash station or a bathroom, could help out our local food vendors there. But as for brick and mortar spaces, there are none on the reservation. I think if we repurpose maybe some of our old buildings, or we build new structures for other businesses to come on the reservation.
It all rests on the shoulders of Economic Development Administration, EDA. I think that, again, going back to the changes in tribal government historically for us, EDA, gets funding sometimes and then doesn't get any funding, the year next to that. Is encouraged to do things and then is stripped of those duties. So there's a lot of back and forth, and I think that that's taken away a lot of the initiative from the EDA offices. They're just kind of handling the day-to-day responsibilities of things that they know that need to be done. But economic development takes the tribe. The tribe has to decide, what do we want to see in our future? What do we want? What do our kids want to do for jobs? Maybe not everyone wants to go work in the casinos. What about the kids who want to work in a greenhouse or in farming? What about the kids who want to do something with the water? I mean, there's so many resources that we have that we need to foster outside of gaming. So I think that's it's not all EDA's fault, but again, they're the initiator in this discussion.
My name is Delilah Taylor, and I have a few questions for the candidates. I live on the tribal reservation.
Okay, go ahead.
What will you do first to show us that you have a focus on our youth?
Who'd like to take that question first?
The focus would be to try to develop something here for the youth, because they don't have anything really here for you guys. Me having teenagers, I see it being a problem. They have JOM in the community center, but that's not geared towards the teenagers, really. They need something, I was thinking more along the lines like a game room, activity center, something like that where you guys can go after school and stay and watch TV, play games, interact, have a basketball court out there, ping pong table, something like that to keep you guys busy. It would be, and see, and that's the thing, because I can tell you that when I get in, I'm going to do it, but realistically, I don't know what we would be walking into if I did get into council. I don't know what financial situation we're in, or what's going on right now. So I can tell you, yeah, as soon as I get in, we're going to do this, and that. But realistically, it probably won't happen for another 4 or 5 years.
Right now, so what we would do, if I got in, we would have to utilize what we have. So we do have JOM. Do they need new books? Do they need new games? Is it, you can't get a ride over there? I mean, even having like the youth days setting up outside of the community centers that we do have, like we can utilize those. You just have to have maybe parents come out and volunteer their time to have a little day for the, for the youth. So I think we could utilize what we have already. And you're right, realistically, it's going to take some time to build other buildings. And if we did do that, we need to put them in different areas of the reservation, because not everybody has transportation, unless we can provide a little bus or or something. And
Well,
maybe,
like JOM, they have the vans, but they have a waiting list, and they only gear towards the kids that are in school for like tutoring. They have a library, but it's not being used.
are they open on the weekends? Because that's another, we can look into having it open on the weekend. Also falls back on the community. If you want something like that to change, you have to volunteer your time. You might not get paid to do that, but you will have to volunteer.
I have actually been, that's my main focus right now is the youth, because I do see it, the kids, that are getting into mischief, they don't have nothing for them. They've been promised things in the past that never came, to be. And I know that, what she's saying is, once we get in there, we don't know what we're going into. But what I can say is that will be my main priority. That would be, because I have a son, and, I want, him to be able to do things here, have a place. Like, my main focus is to bring a Boys and Girls Club to the reservation. And I know that a lot of people, when you do bring that up, and I have brought it up in the past, and they talk about cost, what is this going to cost the tribe, and I think the better thing is we have parents who are willing to put in the time.
To ensure we have a strong program in place to fight drug addiction and alcoholism.
We've always had the alcohol remedies program here on the reservation since 1973. It's changed over the years, and again, in those years, and I'm part of that program. I've been so close for 25 years. So it works. But it's up to the person to make that commitment. The program can only show you the tool and how to use it, but it's up to you.
With child welfare now, and a lot of our parents are court-ordered case plans. And what my experience with ADAP, our drug prevention, and services that we offer, it's not about. We have to have an inpatient facility. We utilize IHS funding right now to send people places, and I think that's something that we need to, as a government, focus on. Is getting either a contract with somebody that's actually us running it, or instead of just sending people and running on their terms. So we need to make it culturally appropriate for our people, and then make sure that we're setting them up after that. Right now the program picks them up, drops them off, they complete it, and they come back. And then there's a trigger. So it is successful. ADAP is successful, and some people that have gone through it know that, like Vernon saying that he's part of the program, and it is successful. But there's more details or more resources that we need to add to make it complete. So right now, obviously, we're talking about budget. You can't ever go away from our budget.
Mm-hmm.
So the budget, there's IHS funding. I believe there would have to be either another grant that would supplement that, or the tribe would have to put in funds to make that an actual realistic thing. It has to happen. There's no way around it. If there isn't a grant that's specific towards that, because each grant requires certain data, certain requirements, certain demographics, and if we can't meet those needs, or it's not tailored to how we need it, then the tribe would need to supplement that program.
Also reach out to neighboring tribes also, because, like you said, it is something like sometimes you want to just get off the reservation. Maybe we can have someplace in between, where we can all pitch in and have a cultural housing where, we can not only focus on spiritual health and well-being, but just, get a little break, from the reservation. And, because substance abuse is such a big problem here.
Okay. My cousin mentioned that she said it was really intense because she wasn't used to, like the sweat lodge and all that was involved in it. So yeah, they do have one.
What I know is that ADAP or some of the tribes so we talked about collaborating with tribes, a lot of them are restricted towards their own membership. So that's a barrier that we have today because they contribute to their own programs.
Okay.
And that's kind of why we're restricted or can't utilize some facilities.
We heard that a lot of candidates say the tribes need to be more involved with the schools. Aside from attending meetings, how will you do that?
So I'll touch base on that. We brought it up in the forum yesterday. Is that some of the council members or the ones that are running have stated that they're going to play a role in that position. I've sat on the DIPAC meetings. I've sat on the SAR board for the last 2 years for the school district to offer services prior to the child being expelled. But I think it takes more than that. It takes You know, we talk about programs. The school likes to advertise Mr. Farronowell's group as a cultural thing and function that they've incorporated and stuff. So we need the council as a whole and the programs need to play more of an active role at the school. You know, doing during lunch events, you know, making it to promote the ADAP, promoting Chawaf, promoting culture or language program. They've invited us there, but they don't push it as well. So us as programs or council members, they're elected to initiate that and say, you know what, this is what we want, and attend the meetings. And if it's not, like I said, if we're not attending as a whole, then delegate somebody to be there and hold them accountable to be there every single meeting.
And in my time, what I did was I appointed each council member in different areas to say, you will work with the school. Well, I asked for volunteers, of course. And that person was the liaison to the school, attended all the meetings, gathered all the information, brought it back to the council, so that we were aware of what's going on. And other council members were in law enforcement, health, etc. So you need to do that so the council will be involved in some way directly.
About 2 weeks ago, I was invited to up the river to Fort Mojave to a grand opening that they were having on their reservation for a brand new community center that included an education center. The uniqueness of this is that they have an elders facility, a day facility where they can go during the day, 7 days a week, and the elders can hang out. And then adjacent to that, they have a school, so the kids can go and interact with their elders, and it's literally creating an immersion school right there on the reservation. Now I know our reservation is different. We have San Pasqual, and we have all that. But what we forget about is that San Pasqual is a school district in Imperial County, and they get impact aid revenue money from the tribe, or from the state, I'm sorry, for the tribal membership for the Native American youth. I don't think that they're putting that money to use on our benefit, to our benefit. I think that they're abusing, a lot of the situations that come up to the detriment of our people. It's gone way the other way. I think to the point where we need to seriously start considering other options. We have, tons of funding out there for, everything from elementary, preschool, higher ed, regular high school, and there's a lot more modern ways and techniques of learning, the regular things that you would learn in school without all the issues that we have to deal with to try and fix the things in San Pasqual. So this may not be popular, but that's what I would advocate for, is to look at alternative resources for school.
Can you tell us about one time you mentored or worked with youth?
Somebody want to go first?
I can do that right now. I mentored youth. I was the 2005-2006 Miss Quechan Nation, and I have traveled with the youth, with San Pasqual princesses, and I have went and spoke to them, and I believe that that is a good mentorship program, because you are dealing with a lot of young, a lot of the other tribes, they have a junior and little miss, whatever tribe they are. We don't have that at the time. We just have, Miss Quechan Nation. But, here or there, conversating with all these young, they're looking up to you, they're like young. And when they see you, speaking your language and, dancing, that excites them. And I think that we can utilize not only that program, but we could, get youth together and maybe start have like a youth center. But that's what I was talking about with the youth center, is not only have a place for like the library and internet and computer lab and all that other stuff is great, but if we had a place for where the kids can get together and learn to sing and learn to dance, learn our traditional ways, I think that would benefit our tribe as a whole, because you're our future. And we need to put our focus on you and what you're doing now. We need to motivate you now, because, we need not only girls to run for Miss Quechan, we need leaders, future leaders. And I think that's why my focus is the youth, is because they're our future of the tribe.
I'm a mother, and every day I make an impact on them. I have to mentor them and, teach them about life and life skills. That's something we need to do as a community. Mothers, you got to teach your daughters, fathers, you got to teach your sons, and vice versa. Kids are not going to learn unless we teach them, and that's by having certain programs. Maybe they need help.
Right.
Maybe I was a young mother, and I had to be a mother. Nobody taught me, but I wish I did have somebody there to guide me. There's things I didn't know, and I just kind of had to learn everything on my own. But yeah, the youth is should be our main focus, because they're the next generation. Those are our future councilwomen and councilmen. So we definitely make youth our priority.
I have the privilege of, talking and seeing our youth on a daily basis. I cut their hair, so I talk with them. I pretty much all of their important dates, their pictures, all this stuff, I get to talk to them. I see them weekly, so I build a really strong relationship with these kids, and it's sad because a lot of our young men, they feel a disconnect from the community. They don't feel like they belong to the community. There's a disconnect to their culture, and it's sad. I encourage them, to get out there, get involved, and it is really sad because the youth is affected by the things that we do, like as a community, like we're fighting, we don't do this and that, but the youth is affected. And I just like to add that, that we need to take care of our youth because they are hurting out there, and we need to focus on them.
Lila, thank you very much for joining us today and being very patient. Can we give her a round of applause for coming? That you're at tribal council meetings very often. So how can we communicate more effectively to our membership the information that comes out of the tribal meetings?
I think that's been our main problem, because what I was telling, the last group that I spoke with, that's been an issue, because we attend the meetings, and yet when we try to go out and, share our version, we're, it kind of...
Everybody has their own version.
Everybody has their own version,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of having to explain, what your thought on the idea is.
So what's the solution?
Okay, so I was getting to that. So, like I was saying, when you come to them with, what you've heard and what's going on in the community, and they come at you, not always negative. Everybody always, wants to ask why, which is awesome. But they have a different perception because somebody else went and it did change, they're not on the same page, obviously. And I think my idea is, I know bigger tribes have done it, and I know a lot of people are maybe against it because they think, we're going to give away too much. But what I've seen a lot of bigger tribes do is they open up every single meeting. They it's on, they have a Facebook page, a website, or whatever, and they stream every single meeting that they have. And like I said, I watch it. I may not be a member of my dad's tribe, but I want to know what's going on because
But it works. It works for you to get the information if you wanted it, right?
And I think that it would be a great step. We don't have to, we're not going to, if you don't give too much away, then it'll be a great asset. Not, giving out personal information, but, but I do think it's a great.
It's effective. Question is for William. A lot of people think that your leadership style is aggressive. So what have you learned during this term, and what would you do differently?
I've learned that I really don't know as much as I think I do. I think that we all kind of, come into something with one understanding or idea or assumption, and those change, once facts are presented and you take a kind of a step back, and that can change, day by day. As far as, being aggressive, I think that it's more about being assertive, and I think that that's something that this community, as far as the leadership is concerned, has lacked in terms of being assertive for the people. And so, I'm never assertive for myself, for my own benefit. It's always because I think I believe in my heart that that's what the people, what's going to help make that impact and help our people. So, that's kind of the way I approached this last term, and that's the way I'll approach the next term. It's very gratifying to see, already results of, the assertiveness and the actions that not me as an individual, but as a council we've taken. Not all of my assertiveness has been, well received by my council. I mean, I've been, suspended and learned so many lessons that I can't even begin to take up all the time here to tell you.
So what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, fair enough. What is the most common issue you see in your line of work, and what can we do about it as a tribe now?
So those that don't know, I work in child welfare and I represent the youth the majority of the time. What I see is it's coming from in the home. The issues are in the home. What I see is a lot of our youth are belittled by parents that aren't educated on our traditions, that don't play a role in our community, or maybe lack the knowledge and want to know. I believe they do want to know, and maybe their parents or somebody didn't have that role or responsibility in the community, or didn't attend every event, whatever it might be. So I see a lot of negativity in our children when we interview them or speak to them regarding very personal issues, is that they want a sense of responsibility or knowing of who they are.
So how do we get them there? If you got 2 years, how would you get them there?
How would I get them there?
How would you advocate to get this issue addressed within council?
Well, we spoke about many issues. Obviously, is the norm 8 to 5 issue, is we need to open the services on the weekends. We need to open the services after hours.
And the services are social services?
We're talking social services. We're talking about JOM or after school stuff that you guys want to promote or bring on. Volunteering, a lot of the stuff is Parks and Rec. We have Parks and Rec with probably the second largest budget of the whole tribe. And where are we today on the youth?
Next question is for Miss Melissa. You have been in the news often lately. So this question is a little bit controversial, okay? So do you think that someone should be able to run for council if they have a pending lawsuit against the tribe?
Yeah, because I don't have a pending lawsuit.
Okay, so clarify that for us then.
Okay, the lawsuit that and I wish he didn't leave, that he's always stating and talking and throwing out there to the tribal membership is a lawsuit that me and 25 other tribal members did against the attorney that the council.
So it's against an attorney, not against our nation?
Yes, it's against the attorney Rosette for the $10 million that he had lost the tribe once this council put him in as the attorney. So that's what that lawsuit's about. It doesn't have anything to do with the tribe, the council, any of that.
Okay.
It's, and actually, when they went to court the last time, the judge went ahead and threw that out. So that lawsuit is no longer in effect against Rosette. So the only thing that's moving forward is the lawsuit against the tribe and the lawsuit against Willie and Kenny.
And you're not a part of those?
I have nothing I wasn't even involved in any of it, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
have nothing to do with that.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. There's substance abuse going on in our community. There was a recent event where our tribal youth were involved in that. So it's one of your top priorities in your platform. Where do you see as areas where we can begin tackling that issue?
I feel we need to reach out to ADAP because I've talked to family members and heard their testimonies, and yes, ADAP does help, but a lot of them aren't comfortable going back to ADAP due to confidentiality, and that's something that we need to make sure what happens there stays there. And these are living testimonies of recovering addicts. It's not just me saying that to like pick on ADAP or anything. And I see it. I grew up, seeing substance abuse in the home, and I was fortunate enough to leave the home, and I was raised by my great-grandparents. So, and I also had 2 siblings pass away due to substance abuse at young ages, and I'm tired of seeing our young people dying due to substance abuse. And yes, ADAP's there, but I think they need to offer maybe more counselors or mentors, somebody that the substance abusers can talk to without feeling like the information that they share with them is going to be talked about outside of that building.
Like an unbiased sponsor?
Yes.
Okay. So is that something you would try to build into their budget, or what would you actually,
Yes,
what action would you take toward
Yes,
that?
I'm just one person, so it would take the whole council. Hopefully the council feels the same way, because I'm not the only one that sees, you know, people passing away from that. Not only at a young age, but even at older age, from liver failure, or even becoming diabetic. And health and wellness was also another area of focus I wanted to focus on, because they go together, substance abuse and health and wellness. I myself, I struggle with obesity, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I do struggle with it. And that's another area, you know, we need to look into hiring a nutritionist, you know, putting out more information about how to eat healthy foods. People don't know unless you teach them. I myself, I have to seek out off of the reservation doctors, our nutritionists to talk to, and that's something I would like to share with the community. It's okay to get up and exercise. You shouldn't feel embarrassed, because with all the hard work that you do, at the end it pays off. And even just doing a little bit of the exercise, you feel beautiful inside, and you need somebody there to encourage you to keep going, because in all reality, if you don't stay healthy or try to become healthy, you will die, and that's the reality.
So you mentioned being an entrepreneur earlier. So we had an entrepreneur program here at some point. So what would you do to advocate to get more people to a place like you? Like how could you better prepare Quechan entrepreneurs in this role?
I'm actually familiar with the program that they have here. I actually talked with him, the business doctor, and it's a shame that we didn't utilize his information, because he was just so, he was a wealth of knowledge, and he just had so much information, and he was willing to help the tribal members, but he was just like, well, nobody showed up, nobody came. And I was like, wow, really? And by the time I heard of it, the program was already over. So I was going over there, and he was not even supposed to, he was supposed to be charging me, but since nobody showed up to any of the meetings here, he actually helped me for free. And he gave me a lot of pointers, which actually helped me to get where I am now.
So would you try to implement a program like that again?
I would try to implement the program again and just get it out there more. You know, let people know about it. Put it on Facebook. Put it everywhere. Put it at all the departments. Put it, you know, as much as we can, because you know our entrepreneurs are out there, but they probably work. They, you know, do they have time to do these classes? You know, we need to figure this out. Like, where can we have it so they can have the time to actually be there, because the information is there. They just need to get it.
Sure. Vernon, do you consider yourself to be collaborative? And how will you maintain order in tribal meetings if you're elected?
That's a good question. I sat on a school board, and our way of holding meetings is controlled, time limits, etc. It works. Everything is done in a timely manner. Business, nothing personal or anything. People are given time, limited time to talk about something, and we work through.
And then you move on.
Done. That's what I wanted to do for the Quechan Tribal Council meeting.